Welcome to the Thriving Outside the Box podcast. Join me, Dr. Kimberly Grocher, a licensed psychotherapist, executive coach, and yoga and mindfulness meditation teacher, as I shed light on the stories of leaders and entrepreneurs across industries who have not only dared to create their own path in their careers, businesses, and lives, but found a way to do it while thriving mentally, physically, and spiritually. I hope you walk away with the inspiration to do the same. Welcome to another episode of Thriving Outside the Box with Dr. Kimberly Grocher. I am your host, Dr. Kimberly Grocher, and I am ecstatic about my guest today, Bridgette Simmonds, coach extraordinaire. That's what I call her. That's not her title, but I'll take it. Okay. Go ahead, Bridgette. Go ahead and introduce yourself, what you do, where you're from, and all those good things.
So I'm equally ecstatic to be here with you, Dr. Kim. I adore you and everything that you are. So my name is Bridgette Simmonds. I am otherwise known as the Queen of Belief. I specialize in everything around helping high achievers to understand that everything is BS. Meaning it's all about belief shifting and belief systems. And the belief systems are what allow my high achieving people that I connect with to follow paths of success that oftentimes go fully against their wellness. So I create spaces and opportunities to reconnect with yourself and the truth of yourself so that you can redefine success on your own terms.
Amazing. So before we get into the discussion, I just want to share how Bridgette and I are connected, right? So both Bridgette and I are certified professional coaches, ICF certified. That's the International Coaching Federation. But actually in my coaching program, IPEC, Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, Bridgette was one of my trainers. So not only is she a coach, and we'll talk a little bit about this too, this kind of like boom of coaching and all the things that come with that. But like you're a teacher. You have ushered so many of us into this. And I'm just so grateful that we stay connected and that now we are here talking about your journey. And we'll get into all of those things as we go along. But yeah, so that's how we're connected. So I wanted to do this interview a little differently than I've done some of the other ones, where I kind of start with, what's your path? How did you get here? What do you do? And then towards the end, we kind of talk more about wellness. But you have this wellness thread throughout. And so I first want to ask you, how did wellness inspire you to create your own path? And what did that look like?
Well, I will say it's because I felt unwell. It's common, and now I know this, but at the time I did not. But it's common to find the truth of things, the peace of things, the freedom of things, and truly what we want when we are in a space of experiencing what we don't want to have, don't want to feel, and don't like. In fact, I just returned from hosting a wellness retreat in the Mayan jungle in Mexico. And one of the facilitators said something that will stay with me forever. She said, "We do not choose what we tend to like and what we enjoy and what turns us on. We only remember that we do enjoy those things. And in the same way as we don't choose what we don't enjoy. Like there's just certain things, like one of my friends, she doesn't like cilantro. That just is. And so for me, where wellness came from is I was following this well-worn path of what I thought and believed and just adopted success to mean, which was to check these boxes on this invisible paper of getting a degree, a college degree, check, did that. And then after doing that, successfully landing a corporate job, check, did that, had my cubicle and all those things. And there was some element, I suppose I expected it to feel different. I expected it to feel like I had achieved something and some level of satisfaction that was completely missing. I mean, almost on sight immediately. And I'm only 21, 22 years old, just out of college, having reached this pinnacle that was promised all throughout my childhood and feeling something missing, feeling unfulfilled, dragging myself out of bed, feeling very performative at work. Like I just fell in line with all the things that people said and did as I was watching elders that had been there many more years feign busyness because it seemed like they needed to. And it just felt so fake and inauthentic and not aligned with my soul. And what I did look forward to was my PTOs, my paid time off. I would like almost like they were little berries in my hands. I was like, how many do I have now? Because I cherished getting the hell out of there and not being there. I cherished going on vacation and being away. And over time, I just thought to myself, well, is there more to life than this? And how can I live a life that feels as free as I do when I'm taking these cherished little time pockets that are given to me like I'm a prisoner of PTOs? How can life actually feel that free all the time? And so I was in search of what I didn't know to call wellness at that time was feeling well, feeling a sense of goodness in my being and in my day-to-day, and also feeling fully or mostly satisfied with life and the important elements of life.
Amazing. It's like so many things you said I resonated with. You know, I remember my first full-time job after college, and they said, okay, you get 2 weeks vacation, and that was standard. And I remember thinking like, oh no, wait, for the rest of my life? Like we only get these I was like, that's just not going to work.
And they make it seem like it's so generous, like 2 whole weeks.
Exactly.
Out of 52.
Exactly. Like, how do you live life? And then I remember I moved to New York. And when I first moved to New York, I lived on the Upper West Side. That's a whole story in itself, right? But I was on the Upper West Side. And I remember I had this work schedule where I worked 4 days a week for 10 hours. And so on Thursdays, I was off. And I remember that first Thursday walking out. I mean, it's the middle of the day. It's like 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. People are having lunch. They're walking their dogs. They look like they're going to the gym or just coming back from the gym. And I was like, what is this? What do these people do that they are not at work? And how can I do this? So definitely. So coming back to you and your story, what were you doing actually when you were working in corporate at your cubicle?
So my coveted cubicle that I was just in search of as a young kid in college, I was a business development manager for an insurance company, which I have to say, out of all, and I remember an older woman who'd been with the company probably a good 20, 30 years before I joined it, told me as a youngster, she's like, kid, I want you to know we have the best gig in insurance. And she was actually right, because thankfully I did not have to be in the office all day. My job was similar to a pharmaceutical sales rep in that I had to be out in the field going to go and make calls to insurance agents. So it was actually pretty fun in that I wasn't chained to a desk 8 hours and inside under fluorescent light. I was in a car. I had my own music. I could catch up with friends on the phone. So all things considered, I still was able to feel relatively free. But alas, I was not.
So it kind of gave you like a taste.
It was tolerable. It was tolerable until it wasn't.
And when wasn't it?
Man, I just immediately flashed in my mind back to the moment. The year was 2015, and the business that I worked with had been around since 1886. And it was one of the oldest insurance agent companies in the world. And if you would have asked me what they have sold, I would have bet my last dollar and lost it. But one day I went to work out in the morning before work, and I get this, my phone's blowing up. They sold. So my company got acquired, and there was no talk of it. It hit us like a ton of bricks. And I was then at that point working on the side as a coach. So I was like, ooh, I hope I get laid off in a package because this will be my exit. Well, I didn't. Got a whole new regime of people. And I remember they said in this one meeting in this room that I'm in my mind again, hey, we want to make this new company the greatest. Share with us your feedback. We want honesty, transparency. So I raised my hand and I share a thought about making it better. And the way that this woman cut my throat with her words, I don't remember what she said, but I remember feeling so little. And I remember other people coming up to me after the meeting and whispering, I'm so sorry about the way she treated you. And I was like, I can't stay here. I gotta go. Oh, I have to go. Because not only was I in this slow, dull hum of unfulfillment by just being there to get a paycheck in order to live life well enough, but in this moment, now you're really injuring me. And therefore, I'm not sticking around for this because I was at a fork in the road to continue to do coaching on the side and be scared to start over. So I thought I was going to have to do or do a good job at this corporate gig that was paying my bills that I thought I needed to have. And once she did that, I mean, at that moment, it hurt, but I now see the purpose and it was to really push me out.
And so what were your next steps?
So I was already working in my business on the side with dreams of doing it full time. I remember my mantra used to be, I just want to own my days. And I love that mantra because it was a coach that I paid and invested to work with that actually made me qualify that statement. Because I didn't even know what I meant when I said it. I did, but I didn't until she said, what do you mean by that? And I was like, ooh, it wasn't until I actually painted the specific picture of what own my days look like that I was even able to do so. So I visualized what freedom from corporate and 9 to 5 looked and felt like. It meant like I woke up when I wanted to, spent the morning leisurely, that certain days without taking these PTOs that were diminishing every time, that if I wanted to be out in the sun and the pool, I could do that. It also meant that I was doing work that felt so deeply aligned and that I could be paid to be who I am. It felt like I could still live the lifestyle that I was fearing leaving corporate by doing what I wanted to do. So I dreamt it. I first visualized it. The next thing I did was because I didn't know how. A lot of times we get the what, but the next thing is how. The how is actually none of our business. We automatically go there. As soon as we have a dream, a desire, a goal, it's like, but how? And then that stops us in our tracks because we are logical, intelligent people that think we need to understand every single facet of the journey. And we can't. This is where the wondrousness of life comes from. This is where faith comes from. And this is why many people opt to live in safety that is sad and hurtful and unwell because they don't know the how. And so therefore they don't move forward. So I knew the what, which was, I can't stay here. What is I want work to be fulfilling? What is I want to feel satisfied with my life? What I want to feel free. Why? Because my soul deserves it. Why? Because I'm craving it. Why? Because I know, though I don't know how, that it's possible. Why? Because it keeps calling me. Why? Because I'm so good at coaching and I love doing it on the nights and weekends that I sneak it in. How? I only knew that I had this vision. And how was that I needed to start building a bridge to start seeing myself in it. So I hired a coach. And within working with that coach, there was a few coaches I actually had over this series of time that helped me to start to believe it was possible, to start gathering evidence of other people living the life that I wanted to make the picture real. And so did that. And then the more practical things started to happen where the things holding me were money. So then, okay, how much money do I bring in with my job? That helped make it more real because a lot of times we stay in this ethereal space of, I make money with my 9 to 5. This area is new to me. So I'm going to have to crawl before I walk. And at this point, I'm in my late 30s. So I didn't want to go down to a space of nothingness, but that was all made up. Once I started to really get practical with, I make this much. I now have this new desire with coaching. How can I replace that? And then I started to try it while I still was in the safety of making an income through my 9 to 5. Then I started to gain some confidence and some foot under myself. And then I just kept taking baby steps in faith. And then there was just the point, honestly, Dr. Kim, that I did everything I could. I saved up a couple months of savings. I started to create money with my coaching business. I whittled down some debt and some places where I could save money to make this leap. But nothing will take away the pit in your stomach, the heart palpitations, the sweaty pits, and that feeling that you are about to blow your life up. That happens. A lot of times we want to completely eradicate ourselves from that, and it's not possible. It's actually part of the game. It's part of the dance. Exactly. It's part of the exhilaration. It's part of the pleasure in taking a chance to bet on yourself. So had that happen. And also the other thing that helped me a lot, which my coach and therapist at the time helped me with, is I could always get another job. Like that was enough. I'm not leaving under horrible circumstances. I'm well known, well liked, and I've got a lot of experience. If I needed to swim back to shore of another job, I could. So with that in mind, I made the date. I set the date, October 16, 2016. And I submit my resignation. I cried with my boss, Sarah. And she even said to me, she's like, you have to do this. You have to at least try. And I love that. I love that moment. And I haven't looked back since. And there's so much of how have I done it that I cannot even begin to explain to you, but God, Dr. Kim. That's the space when I say how is none of your business. And the minute your mind wants to take you to how, if your how questioning is stopping you, then you're only thinking of it in your own limited mind. And you're not allowing room for things you cannot explain. And that for almost 10 years later of never having to go back to corporate, I cannot explain to you how when I started to stress and worry, I get a woman that I knew almost 20 years ago come and wants to pay me for work. Like how opportunities have always found their way to me, how I have gotten better and better and make more money than I did in this job I was scared to leave. I cannot tell you how. How, if I did, faith and the actions to the degree that I can take it. That's it.
It's not only in your own strength. No. I love your story. I feel like so many of the things you talked about, one of the questions that was coming into my mind was, what about the people around you, right? But you answered it even before I could ask it, right? Because it's like you're investing in people around you who can kind of help usher you in, who are kind of normalizing this for you. And that's so important. And it can be a coach, right? But it also can be just other people in your life. So how are your friends, your family? How are they reacting to this shift?
Oh, honey, that's a story too. I cannot do this alone. Life was not meant for any one of us to do anything by ourselves. And I'm the most independent, I got this person ever. And there's this thing that happens with life and the people around you. It's like I see it as we're all doing a little jig, a little dance together. We all have a little groove. And on our dance floor are the people that we're most familiar with, our parents, our caregivers, our friends, our families. And everybody is grooving at the same space. When I take 2 steps this way, they're used to that because you take 2 steps the other way. And then as soon as you begin to want to change the music or stop dancing to maybe about face to start dancing, looking this way, the people on the dance floor around you will freak out. Not because they're haters, not because they just don't believe in you, not because they don't love you, just because you're interrupting a rhythm and a pattern that we're all accustomed to or have been up until this point. So for me, everyone knew that Bridgette was responsible and had a job and had a house and a career. And so therefore, life's cool. When I began to tell my parents, who are my biggest cheerleaders, I call them my original coaches. First, when I was seeking the coaching space on the side of my corporate gig, it was cool. When I told them I wanted to leave my corporate job. Now, mind you, both my parents are entrepreneurs. So I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to be so proud of me. I'm following in their footsteps of this level of trust and boldness. Well, honey, I'm sitting on FaceTime with both my parents, or their adorable little faces on my screen, and I'm excited. I'm telling them, hey, it was probably like February, March of 2016. And I'm like, hey, I'm ready. I'm going to go after this coaching thing. I'm going to give myself a shot. They both freak out. What? Oh my goodness. Why? They've been so good to you, the company. How come? And I felt like a balloon just deflating. And I don't remember what I said to them, but I remember quickly getting off the phone and I crumpled down onto the ground in my living room and I just started to bawl. I cried because the two people I thought would have a different reaction to this moment that I was so excited about crushed my soul. Because one thing I learned in that moment is it's so critical to have people around you that are going to fan your flames and believe in everything that you're saying. And if they can't or won't or don't, they don't need to be privy to your plans, at least until your own footing about what you're planning to do is sure enough. It's like dating somebody that you are like, I don't know if they're going to like this person, but once you feel like, I don't care what anybody has to say about them, I'm good. That when you have that level of groundedness about a decision, then that's when you can share it with other people and not be swayed by their opinions. But I wasn't at that point yet. I needed their affirmation and they didn't give it to me. But at that point, one thing that was beneficial about it was they were halfway right. I wasn't necessarily ready in terms of my finances up. So my leap at that point would have been a little too premature. But I decided in that point, mommy and daddy are not going to know what I'm doing until I'm that sure-footed. So then I hand selected and with intention only put around me people that were like, either A, I don't understand it, Bridgette, but you look excited, so go. Or people that did understand it, whether they were people I invested in that were coaches or fellow coaches or colleagues or friends. If you were fanning my flames, you were privy to my plans. If you weren't, then it was business as usual. I was dancing the dance on this dance floor of life the way you knew me to. Fast forward a few months now into it, I'd already made my resignation letter. I'd already given it to my boss and I was in it. I was going. I tell my parents on our Sunday FaceTime, it's now a week or so away from my last day in corporate. I'd given them a 2-month notice. 1, because I was scared. And 2, because my boss at the time was pregnant unexpectedly with twins and I didn't want to leave her in a lurch. So I wanted to give her a lot of space, mostly because I was scared. I tell my parents a week before the day, hey, just to let you know, next week is my last day with this company. What? Why are you going to give them such a short notice? Oh my, I said, stop. I'm only telling you this in short notice because the last time I told you, you freaked out. And so I wanted to be sure I knew what I was doing. Silence. And then, well, all right, Bridge, if that's what you want to do. I think they were afraid of me moving back into their house. But thank God it hasn't happened. And now they couldn't be more proud than me. So I'd say in answer to your question, there will be people that validate the inner critic and the what I call the gremlin inside, which says you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not ready enough. There will be outside forces to reinforce that voice. Choose wisely who you share your vision and your goals and your dreams with, and only let those speak over and into you that fan your flames and speak to the part of you that believes in you and believes in something completely different. And know that it doesn't have to make logical sense because the biggest moves and blessings and experiences that we have in this life ain't never going to make sense. And they don't need to make sense.
If you could see me, I have this big cheese grin on my face because I just love everything you're saying. And again, I resonate with it. I remember when you were telling us your story at IPEC during the training. And I want to point out that it wasn't so long after you left, that you were a trainer at IPEC, right? And so I remember you telling a group of us, you were like, this is my lily pad, having a lily pad and like moving, those micro movements, those micro steps and moving into it, And so you're in your own coaching business. And as part of your coaching business, you're like a contractor as a trainer. You know what I mean? So making sure you have a lily pad. And when I left my good group practice job at a Ivy League teaching hospital, I thought about you and I would always like, what are my lily pads? What's the lily pad? You just got to focus on the lily pad and then the next one will show up, And so, yeah.
It's amazing what people remember that you say. But that's absolutely the way that I feel and think and have learned. That yes, and it's amazing what you just shared back to me that I need to hear in this moment too, because life really is a series of lily pads. And even envisioning is, do you remember the Michael Jackson video where he was stepping on those tiles that lit up?
Yes.
Oh, what video was that? It wasn't Thriller. Billie Jean? I can't remember which video it was. Now I got to look it up. He's stepping on these squares on the ground, and each time he stepped on it, it lit up. And it didn't light up until he stepped on it. That's life. Life is a series of moments. And so many people sit on the bank of the shore and that don't ever hop to a lily pad that whispers to them, that calls to them, that, they scroll online wistfully watching other people live a life that they think is too far gone or impossible or not reasonable. But like I shared earlier, that woman at the retreat shared, we don't pick what we are drawn to. But if you're drawn to it, there's a reason and there's an ability to hop to the lily pad. And then the next one appears, and then you just make your way throughout this beautiful, vast universe of experiences that are just micro moments, and knowing and always trusting that you're gonna be okay. All is well. All has been, all is, and all will be well.
So I just want to use that moment to kind of transition into talking about your transition into wellness coaching and these amazing retreats that you've been offering that kind of speak to a lot of the gems that you're dropping now.
Yes. Oh, so much of my coaching is, like you shared, we met in a space where I was teaching coaching to coaches who wanted to become certified. But the teacher in me has gone way back to when I was a little Bridge. If you asked me as a little girl, what do you want to be? Before the world got a hold of me with their expectations and definitions and limitations, my answer was a teacher. Because I always sat in class. I love to learn. I'm a nerd. I squeeze information and things. I've always been a bookworm. And I loved how teachers had this ability to transport your mind to places that just felt like they were just taking your brain and stretching it out. And so from that, what I now at this point in my life understand is that was always my call. That was always one way in which I expressed my purpose, which, by the way, our purpose in life is not a vocation. It's not something you do for a living. Our purpose is actually to experience life. And we're fulfilling and living our purpose when we're experiencing it at the height of our desires. And so I was teaching coaches, but there was something in me while I was on that lily pad when we met, that I was always like, more people, more vast amounts of people, not just people that have found their way to coaching. Do I want to teach? Do I want to reconnect with the truth of who they are? So that's always been sitting in me. And I've admittedly felt fearful about what would that look like. I didn't quite see the next lily pad. I got stuck in the how, which is none of my business. Everything I'm sharing, I still experience all the things we all do. But it kept calling. It kept calling. And so over the last few years, I've really understood that togetherness is a salve for a lot of things that we're experiencing. And what I mean by that is we have these devices that are beautiful and helpful, like Zoom or telephones, but we are more lonely than ever and more disconnected from ourselves, from God, and from the truth of life and the feeling of life in general. And what I feel the antidote to that is community. And I started it a little slowly. You've been on a couple of them, these luxury retreats, which are just times to steal away from your everyday rhythms and cycles of life, to disconnect physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, reconnect with a group of people who are on that same mission at that same time, not only to just rest, because a lot of my retreat is very spacious for you just to catch up on some sleep or a book, but also to connect with another like being that you didn't know you needed to have conversation with. So I am in a space where I am dialing back a lot of my one-on-one coaching to go back into the world, because I started to feel a little bit like I was shrinking and shriveling on the vine by doing a lot of my work through the computer only. The pandemic brought that convenience, but then I got stuck there because now we're 5 years post it, and I don't really go outside unless I'm meeting friends, family, working out. And there was just something in me that's like, no, I feel called to create invitations to spaces for humans to gather, not only in the luxury retreats that are in exotic, beautiful places. I'll still do those things. And I am also making them accessible to other people, where I'm going to do 1-day experiences where you'll experience the same type of transformation and immersive experiences that rock your heart and your soul and calm your nervous system, because there's so much noise happening right now in the world, so much noise. And someone said yesterday when I was on the call, I love this. They said, us that are here living in these times and this space that is stressful, that seems like it's nutty and seems like it's going backwards, we exist as part of the transition team. The coaches, the healers, the guides, we have chosen, our souls have chosen to be here with intention, not to be rocked and swayed and beat down into the ground by the external world, but to understand the place from which our power flows and that love flows, and that we on the transition team are here to lead and guide the others who feel like the world is falling apart, which it is, but so that it can come together. So that's what I create in the space of wellness, is because when we are well individually, then it permeates to our collective. And that is what we're all craving as we go through what we're currently and about to experience in the world, as very well-known structures that need to crumble are crumbling. And it doesn't mean it's not going to be painful or extremely uncomfortable, but we're going to be okay as long as we're okay. And so I am on a mission to create spaces where you remember you're okay, you remember how to be okay, like breathing and connecting with other people.
I love that. And I 100% agree with you. I feel like in my work with my clients over the last couple of months, but I believe this information is timeless. But what I've been sharing with my clients is now is a time to really focus on your wellness. It's time to focus on yourself. This is where those practices, like, I do yoga, I do meditation, your faith, whatever that, or, spiritual practices, whatever that looks like for you, whatever helps you to kind of get still, restore, find a sense of peace and clarity. So then you are clear enough to navigate what needs to happen next. Like you said, you're not rocked and swayed by every little movement of this ship that is going down 1 minute, is coming up.
People are throwing up off the side.
You're like, okay, if this thing breaks beneath me, I got to be ready to swim. And if I'm panicking and I'm, it doesn't matter what I have or what I know, if I allow myself to be taken off course mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, then I cannot do what I need to do to navigate the next step.
Navigate and lead those connected to you to take the next steps too. I heard something amazing yesterday about these times and what's happening, and it blew my mind. With the onslaught of artificial intelligence, or AI, everyone is now able to be as smart as everyone. And so intelligence, which used to rule the day in terms of people that were able to procure knowledge from their own spaces and places, now within a touch, somebody that's half my age can spout or share information and knowledge quickly. And I used to be worried about that. I'm like, man, these kids, I earned the right to use AI and shorten my time span. But what they said, just shattered that thought for me. She said, that's because in the world that we're creating, knowledge isn't necessarily going to be what's necessary to lead. It's actually emotions and heart and connectivity. So the fact that we're all now on a playing field that's even with regard to knowledge, like smart, okay, cool, everyone's smart now. But how is your heart? How do you feel? How do I feel? And that's how we will connect, is through that space of feeling and emotion and authenticity, because that you cannot replicate with a robot.
You can't fake being.
When knowledge comes a dime a dozen, what's your heart? How is your heart? What are you doing for your heart? What have you done for your heart? How do you feel in my presence? Is it healing? Is it not? So yeah, I I feel like you're exactly right. It's timeless, and the return to wellness is critical. And even it goes with our conversation around work and your 2-week vacation that you were given with your first job. That was born from a space of productivity.
Yes.
We need you here 50 days a week, which has been killing people slowly. So at what point did we need to return to wholeness and wellness and play and what that type of lifestyle deemed as frivolous and soft? And now everyone's craving a soft life.
Right. Right. Everybody's trying to find the softness, right?
Yes.
Whereas before it was like, you almost like made to feel like if you were craving that or thought you could have that, there was some irresponsibility or flightiness about you.
Oh my God, yes. I have friends that make fun of me if they're like, what did you do today? And it's a Thursday or Wednesday. I'm like, I was at the pool. They're like, oh, you're just Bridgetting. Damn right.
Why not? Why can't I?
Then you should too.
If you don't like it, that's fine. But is it that you don't like it or you can't see it?
Ooh. Is it that you don't like it or you can't see it? And another thing, the way in which we have been operating in this highly masculine driven, and it's actually not even like true, the masculine energetic nature of structure and building and process. That's a whole nother podcast episode. We need the feminine flow and essence of ease that looks like it's doing nothing. It appears like it's doing nothing. Oh, but baby, it's focused. And if you even think about women and our capacity and ability, which by nature, we all have feminine and masculine energies. In the feminine, we receive the seed, and for a whole 9 months, it looks like a whole bunch of nothing is happening. An entire being is being formed. And that woman, that person holding that growing life is doing nothing. That's what's possible by laying back into wellness and to rest and to ease. That's what's possible.
I love that. One of the reasons I love teaching yin yoga specifically, especially for me and my energy, traditionally, I've been somebody who, my friends laugh. Kim stands for keep it moving, right? We are moving, doing things. What's the next thing? Being productive.
That's it. It feels good. I'm not gonna lie. That feels good. I'm the same way too.
Yes. But there needs to be a balance, right? Because at some point, if you're afraid to stop, if you're afraid to slow down, if you're afraid to be with yourself, that's a whole different issue, And so one of the things I love about yin, doing it and teaching it, is that it is a form of movement, yoga, whatever you want to call it. You're still. You're still. It's getting still. But in that stillness, you're in touch with that subtle activity. You're in touch with those subtle changes. And so it's seeing this balance that's in our body when we take time to pay attention, that everything is yin and yang. Everything is this balance, this dance between movement and stillness. And you can't have one without the other.
Take time to pay attention. I remember when I first did yin yoga, my teacher, who knew me to always be doing the flow and the hot yoga, she's like, all right, Bridgette, you might struggle with this. And I'm like, I won't. And when I'm sitting there, I'm like, we're still holding this pose? But to your point, I'm feeling, and I'm thinking of the pigeon pose specifically, where you've got your one knee bent in front of you, and then you've got your leg almost in a half split. Now, I can't do a full split with my legs straight, but one knee is bent, one leg's back. So I'm trying to give you a visual for the listeners. And I'm feeling every twitch. And I'm suddenly in touch with my body at this moment because I'm in this pose for longer than I am used to and longer than I admittedly like to. It's like what you said earlier, when I'm luxuriating by the pool and a more active, focused friend that likes to value productivity was like, oh, I can't believe you're doing that. When I wasn't being quote unquote productive in this pose that I'm holding, I was able to feel my thigh. But if I was getting in and out of it quickly, like the other types of yoga, I wasn't in touch with my body. I was moving it, which has its own helpfulness. But yeah, what you said, I resonate with. It's slowing down to notice myself. And do you not see it or do you not like it?
Right.
And that actually is a thing too with the body. I wasn't seeing it. And I also didn't like my body either. So in the slowing down with yin yoga, I was forced to see it and then journey through my dislike for the pain, my dislike for the positions it was in, my dislike for what it looked like now and felt like now, because I like eating snacks. But journeying through that and sitting with it and being grateful for what it's able to do allowed me to touch loving it a little bit more because of the slowdown.
Yeah. I can't wait to go to another retreat with you. And I love your explanation of retreats because I feel like a lot of people don't really understand how a retreat is different from vacation. Like, I think there's also this kind of like, well, I need to go on retreat because there's something wrong with me.
Yes.
And it's like, actually, no. You can go on retreat because you're in touch with what you need. You want to find community of like-minded people that may not be where you are geographically, And so sharing, like, that's a part of wellness.
Can I share with you something that a recent attendee shared at this last retreat I left a couple of days ago? So she was a second-time return retreat attendee. She attended my retreat in Bali in 2024. And now this is her second retreat. And when we met in Bali, she was extremely stressed. She was working, I think, 3 or 4 jobs and just really needed Bali to relax. Fast forward to this last retreat in Mexico, which was called Serenity Retreat. She said, when I saw you advertise it, I wanted to come, but I thought, do I need serenity? Because she said to herself, I'm not burnt out. And then she was like, wait a minute, this is actually a good thing. I don't need to wait until burnout to go on retreat because now I fill my cup up when it's already still got some in it. And I'm like, that's the spirit, because retreats, like a lot of people go on girls' trips or guys' trips or family trips and vacations have and serve their own purpose. They're a great getaway. They change your physical location, but oftentimes what they do is press pause on the stress of life and then suspend it while you're away. And then you go right back to it versus retreats. Because of the nature of the connectivity, the leader and the host of it, they ask certain questions. They lead you through things. Retreats alter your being. Vacations are an escape. Retreats are a return to yourself. Vacations give you a break. Retreats break you open. A vacation relaxes your body and a retreat realigns your soul. And vacations fade when the suitcase is unpacked. Retreats stay with you. They rewire your beliefs. They reset your nervous system and they help you reclaim your power. So it's not about running away. When you go to retreats, it's like a homecoming.
Yes. So I think we will end on that note. We are definitely going to do a part 2 of this. Definitely going to have you back. But tell the people where they can find you, what you have coming up, all that good stuff.
Yes. Oh my goodness. They can find me on Instagram at Bridgette Simmonds. Simmonds has a D in it. It's silent like Django. BridgetteSimmonds on Instagram as well as on LinkedIn. Those would be places to find me. My website is Bridgette, BridgetteTTE.co. And coming up, I've got so many exciting things. Actually, the best way to know first is to go to Bridgette.co and sign up for my newsletter. I let those peeps know first and then everything on social media second. But I will be having another Serenity Retreat in March 2026. But before that, stay tuned. I've got a lot of amazing things happening. Those one-day retreats that I mentioned are coming soon, probably September-ish to 2025 in the fall. Best bet is to stay tuned. I have Sanctuary Sunday, which is a virtual free breathwork experience. So you'll get a taste of what I do at these retreats that really restore your spirit. Breathwork is a powerful, simple way to regulate your nervous system and de-stress in 30 minutes or less. It's really powerful. So I've got that happening March 30th. And if this airs after that, I'll be doing more of those. A lot of good stuff to really connect to yourself and to your wellness.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bridgette. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. What a joy and an honor, Dr. Kim. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you all for listening. Tune in next time. I think that's it. Have a good one.
I love it.